Ladies and gents, it's Dave Grindle back with the 5th segment of our 5-minute roadside conversation series. Now, previously we've broadcasted on my lunch break during school, but today's a little different because we're on the way home after a long day, and whereas we've talked about constitutionalism, communism, theism, and the separation of church and state, today we're going to talk about the military. So in the next 4.5 minutes, you and I are going to explore the military as it is and how it should be utilized in today's global community. Now, what the military is based on your national heritage, your cultural group, your community, however that may be played out in size. If you have a military, it's a group of people that are either conscripted, drafted, or volunteer to give their lives, potentially, in the defense of that community. Now, people join the military or are brought into the military because we all know human beings are mentally unstable. Not all the time, but most of the time, a person or group of people are emotionally irrational. They can flare up in anger, sadness, they lash out, they seek vengeance when they've been harmed, and clearly it works on a community scale as well as an individual scale. And as I talked about in a prior segment, what's shocking to me is that any group of people would agree to die and to kill others because of the disagreements between a small portion of the population. That's what the military is. You assemble as many people as you can or will to defend yourself from other groups of people. Now, in our primitive days, that made a lot of sense, I suppose, because you realized, hey, we're a farming community, we harvest resources, we're just trying to survive, we're trying to grow as a community, however small or weak or uneducated we are, right, in our primal state that we find ourselves in. And there's people on horseback, there's people on foot, people coming in with bows and arrows, spears, swords, axes to kill us and take our resources because they're not the type to grow and harvest as we are. They'll take our women, they'll take our land, they'll take whatever they want and don't have. So let's learn to fight, let's band together, because me defending my homestead is a lot less effective than 50 of us protecting everybody's homesteads. Now, I suppose in the modern age, it doesn't make sense in a civilized world community that we all have our own militaries. There should be one world military, let's say for the sake of ease, 200 million people out of 8 billion that serve as the world military. Now, the world military is really for two things: solving interhuman disputes where, let's say, a warlord tries to rise up, is using force and coercion and violence to rule over a group of people that will not be stood for, because the global community would immediately utilize what resources they had in the area to stomp down these violent rebels, these brigands, these raiders. And the second would be for the defense of Earth in case of alien invasion. You know, the question of where life came from and how far it's gone and how big the universe is and what life really is, we don't have the answer to. But personally, the minute a rocket landed on the moon, and the fact that rockets are going to Mars means that intelligent life in a humanoid form could, in fact, use its sentience to be able to travel from one terrestrial body to the next. And I personally think it's foolish to believe that there's not another human species out there. There's not some kind of intelligent, physical, sentient life that exists, at least in these dimensions that we can perceive, that wouldn't also expand throughout the universe. And if they're like us, if there's another Earth out there with human beings, we see how messed up our physiological structure is, and that we would probably be going elsewhere to gain more resources or expand our population. So let's have one world military, not for destroying each other, but for the defense of ourselves, from ourselves, and from the outside.